Good evening, everybody in the chatter house. That's everybody on Facebook, and that's everybody on YouTube as well. You are all very, very welcome. Now, hold on, I've got my volume on this for some reason. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Bear with me. Oh, it's the drama there. Okay, folks, just why I'm doing this, just to let you know very quickly. Anybody who is on YouTube, but have only subscribed to the chatter house in the last 20 minutes cannot comment for 20 minutes. If you haven't subscribed, do it now, because you can't comment for 20 minutes. It's the way YouTube is set up. It's for everybody's protection, folks. So if you have subscribed just before we started, you have to wait 20 minutes before you can comment. But as soon as that 20 minutes lifts, you can comment away and talk away. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, in case you think you're trying to comment and it doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we are going to do the roll call first of all. Now I just want to let you know as well, right? Excuse me. The rules of the chatter house is, if you are in the comments or if you are watching and you just want to listen, just sit and listen. If you're happy enough for me to mention you, then say hello. And then I will mention you. It's just in case someone's in tonight, because obviously the sensitivity of the subject tonight. If you're happy enough just to sit in the background and listen, just sit back and relax and just listen. But if you're happy enough for me to mention you, then certainly say hello. And one final time, if you're on YouTube, you can't comment for 20 minutes after the time you subscribed. Or if you haven't subscribed, you can't comment. So that is the rules. Sorry, folks, but that's the way it is. Okay, so that's very quickly, because our Shazza's in the background. I don't want to keep her in the background too long. She'll be hitting that bacon me. By the way, anybody who's in tonight, because I do see there's quite a lot watching on YouTube tonight, you are all very, very welcome. I just want to say you're welcome to the chatter house. And I'll tell you more about us later and whatever. So I'll go to YouTube. No, I'll go to YouTube first. Andy Walker is over there. He is saying good evening, first of all. And our Tim for Life says, evening, Stuart, and all in the chatter house. But I am aware there is a lot more watching in the background, maybe people who haven't subscribed yet. But as they say, after 20 minutes, you'll be able to do. So if you wonder why I'm keeping looking over here, folks, I have a separate device because we're on Facebook. This is the way it works with the Facebook group. So I'm not looking away from I have to read the comments from here to there. So let's see all who is in. Right, Gab Shazza is in. Hello, our Gabriel. Nice to see you all the way from Maine in America. Nice to see you, our Gabrielle. Our Matt McGinley is in as well. He's saying hi, Stuart. Miss Chatterhouse is in. Our Michelle McGrogan tears through the door as well. Michelle says, good to see the clock light up. Michelle, I just remembered about it 1 minute ago. I had to jump up and do it. Maria Tate is in. Maria, you've got to see her. She's through the door as well. Carrie Ferguson's in. My local historian is in. Our Carrie there. When I fix this mic, it's going to do my head on. Our Carrie's in as well. Catherine Playfair is in as well. You're very, very welcome, Catherine. Now, just to let you know, folks, tonight we are talking to Shaza. Now, Shaza is involved in the charity Breastmates. She would be your first point of call when you would reach out to Breastmates. And she also deals with all the social media as well for Breastmates. But what we're going to do tonight, we're going to tell a story. And we're going to go back and talk to Shaza about her diagnosis, what happened to her, how it was and what it's like today, and then her connection with Breastmates as well. Anybody who has, did I say hello to our Tracy Weeways? Sorry if I ignored her there. Sorry, Tracy, I don't know if I said hello to you or not, but I'll say it tonight here. I don't want to leave you out. Right. Also, as well, folks, what we're going to do is, as I say, we're going to ask Shazza a few questions, and as I say, I'm going to bring her forward in a wee minute. So yeah, so listen, you're all very, very welcome. So sit back and relax. And again, just to let you know, if anybody, there is somebody in deleted user says, well, here's deleted user 85848 is in. Shaza is my best friend and inspiration. Isn't that absolutely lovely? Deleted user 85848. Thank you so, so much for your comment. The way we're going to do this tonight, folks, the admins of the group will remind you if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask Shaza, we are going to do them at the end. So if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask at the end because it saves stopping and starting and stopping and starting because you've got to remember it's a very sensitive subject and also it's not an easy story to tell. So I think I've covered that background enough. Let's get our Shaz up and say hello. You see me messing this up at the start. I always, by the way, folks, anybody who's new, I mess everything up all the time. So go to unmute her mic. So I am, and I'm going to bring Shaza forward. And there's she. Just Shazzy, just by magic there, so you did. So thank you so, so much for doing this. This needs to be talked about because
Absolutely.
We were actually, just to let everybody know, Shazza and I met the other day, and we were actually saying the amount of people to this day who tried to ignore this topic, even people who's maybe suspicious that they might have something wrong with them, try to ignore it. They're hoping it goes away. It doesn't work like that, Shazza, does it?
No, it absolutely does not. And the sooner, if you think there's something wrong or you see a slight difference, the sooner you get it checked, the better. For your own peace of mind, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but you yourself,
the
key, yeah. Key. But you yourself, you have been through it. You really, really have. And we're going to talk about that in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. By the way, folks, I hope everybody can hear us all okay. We were having a wee bit of sound difficulties earlier on, but I think we're all right now. Tim Pillay says, good evening, Shaza. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. And Stuart, can I just say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here to talk about this because it just needs so talked about. And, you know, thank you for giving the opportunity for me to talk about our charity as well because we're trying so hard to get our name out there because so many people don't know about it yet. And so many people need somebody to talk to when they're going through this, you know, cancer journey. It's one of the toughest things you'll ever face. And being able to talk to women who's you know, starting it through it, maybe out the other end a couple of years or 10 years, whatever. It's invaluable, the information to have and they can give you, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is too, you know, when I get speaking to you, which we will discuss in a minute, the amount of, or not the amount of, the lack of support out there, which we'll talk about in a minute when you're there, even now is unbelievable. You know,
unbelievable.
So what we're going to do, Shazza, we're going to do as I discussed with you just before we come on there. Before we even get into your story, we're going to look at a diagram. Okay.
Okay.
Now, by the way, folks, just to let you know, some of this stuff tonight is a wee bit sensitive, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be shown. So what we're going to do is first, folks, we are going to look at a diagram of a breast, and we're actually going to look at the stages of about examination. And it's not going to be easy on a picture, but we are going to try our best. John McMaster has just come in. Sorry, I'm late. And Tim's saying hello to John. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring you this diagram up. Now, Shazza, what's going to happen is when I bring this diagram up, we're going to go small over here. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. If I could let you talk about it and just explain it to us for everybody that is here. So where do we say? So what we'll do is we'll put us there. That's the wrong one. So put us there, and then we'll bring the picture up. And there it is. So Shaza, talk us through this, please, if you can.
Okay. This is a lot of charities actually do this on the first of the month, but I do a wee thing about feeling on the first. It's just a wee catchy thing, but it's all about the first of every month you should be feeling, just to see if there's any differences. And everybody's body is different, right? But the thing about it is, the first thing you have to do is get to know your own body so you know what's normal. You know, get used to feeling around your breast and even under your arm. Most people don't know, but you have to feel under your arm where your lymph nodes are. So there, it's kind of the flat of your hand, right? And you learn to feel all around your breast. And first is, when you learn to know what's normal, then you can quickly identify what's not. So if you're used to knowing because everybody feels different, and you know, so, and it can even be, you know, a change in your nipple. If your nipple looks a wee bit different, if your nipple's a wee bit inverted, you know, it doesn't always have to be just a lump. It could just be a color change. It could be, there's so many, people think, oh, it's a lump. It's not always just a lump, you know, but you can just feel, if you learn to feel round, you have to know what normal is. So then you can pick up what is not normal. So there they've listed all, you know, different wee things there, you know, to look at, different wee signs and different wee things to look out for, wee spots. But, you know, a lot of things about the nipple, but underneath the arm, a lot of people forget. They think it's just their breast, but it's not. Underneath the arm where your nodes are. That's very important, because some people's lumps can be up there. So it's just, and if you go on, usually on the first of the month into Instagram, I picked this one just as one, but all the charities have, nearly the first of every month, they all have wee diagrams showing this, to remind you to check. But as I say, you have to know what your normal is before you can find what your abnormal is.
Absolutely.
And so many people don't check. And I have to be honest and say, I didn't check. I'll be complete. I'll not sit here and tell a lie. I never checked. And but the way mine was found, I wouldn't have found it anyway. Because mine was so deep in, and I found mine in a very unusual way, how I found out I had cancer. But, you know, most people they find, my mum, when she had a lump, but thank God hers was okay, she said she was eating her dinner one night, and a wee bit of dinner fell down, like a wee pea or something. She just wanted to flick the pea, you know, off her top like that. And she said she just felt this wee bump, but she's like, what's that? Now, luckily hers was benign. It was just a wee, because it could be all kind of wee fatty cell. It doesn't, like, I've already been down to Craigavon 2 times since I've had my cancer, and both times it wasn't cancer. It was just went down, and it was just, you know, it was just a wee duct or a wee cell or some hardening from the radiotherapy, you know. But you're always better just to get it checked if you see anything different, or any discharge from your nipple, or anything different, or your nipple looking pulled in or harder, or anything at all. You're always better safe than sorry, you know what I mean?
Okay. And also, folks, as well, if you're not sure about this, after this picture goes, there's numerous places where you can get diagrams and stuff like this to help you along when you are checking yourself and things like that. So it's very, very important. And Shaza and I were also saying as well, the amount of people, and she said yourself there, Shaza, who to this day they're still not doing it, you know. They're just carrying on, or maybe there's people who are aware that there's something there and they're just hoping it'll go away, just ignoring it. And you know yourself, it's not going to go away.
No,
you know,
it's not going to go away. And we spoke about this the other day, and I can't stress how important it is to get it sooner rather than later, because if you get it soon enough, you can get the tumor out, you can get rid of it. But if you wait until it goes into your lymph nodes, and then that means it spreads somewhere in your body, which usually is some of your major organs, that's when it's not good. So the sooner you get it, and as I say, you know, a lot of times women are dying. I've been down probably the rest clinic 4 or 5 times in all with wee lumps, and there were nothing, but the one time it was. But, you know, people are better just going and getting it checked out, and the sooner the better. Leaving it, as you say, it's not going to go away, and you're going to allow it to travel, and that'll be a harder thing to treat.
Somebody's just said there, oh my God, Paula P, you're been in because his nose, and he's been in and they're taking a biopsy, so fingers crossed. What before we get into your story, Shaza, we are not forgetting about the men tonight, because we're going to talk about them later. What is the sort of statistics at the moment in Northern Ireland for breast cancer, roughly?
Well,
do you want me to? I have it here.
It's a lot less than women, and it's only about 11 cases per year at the minute.
What's this for? No.
For the men's breast cancer.
We'll do men. We're going to do men in a minute. We're talking about women. What about women? So where are we with women at the moment with statistics?
Women currently, which is horrific, it's 1 in 2. It used to be 1 in 4 for breast cancer. Now it's 1 in 2, which is just when you think of that, 1 in 2 people.
1 in 2?
1 in 2 for breast cancer. Like every day you're hearing about somebody else. Every day. Like it's so prevalent, which makes it even harder to understand how there's so little support out there. You know, like personal support, like what we offer in Breastmates. Like 1 in 2. There's actually, in our group, we actually have 2 sets of sisters that are both going through it together. Two sisters have it at the same time. There's 2 sets of sisters in our group currently. So like, what?
Yeah. Obviously, the mainland is bigger, but let's put it into perspective. Are we higher? Would you say we would be higher than mainland UK?
Yeah. I'd say Northern Ireland for some reason, whatever is the reason. People have a lot of different theories on it, but we're one of the highest.
That's unbelievable.
Cancer is rife here.
Unbelievable. So, Shaza, let's go back. Now, I'm going to warn you now. I'm going to start singing. I always do this. So we're going to go back to the very beginning, right? We're going to go back. Our Paul is absolutely worrying about everything at the moment because of what's happening with his mommy and daddy. As our Minnie said about their friend with the cancer. It's awful. Yes. Right. So let's go back to 2023. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
You're exactly right.
How did it all begin for you, Shaza? Where did it all begin?
Right. Well, my story is a bit unusual to most people who do find the lump. Just before COVID hit, I was having really bad chest infections and it would just take me out, lose my voice, be in bed for weeks. And I didn't know what was wrong and nothing seemed to shift it. So they ordered me a lung scan. Now, that must have been, I don't know, whatever year that was, whatever. But with COVID and everything, it took me 5 years to get my lung scan. Like there's a long waiting list, but it was 5 years exactly before I got taken for the lung scan. My lung scan was in January 2023. And I was called back in February to get the results. And in that scan, I was diagnosed with a lung condition, which is fair enough. And then he said to me, do you know you have a lump in your left breast? And I was like, what? He says, you have a lump in your left breast. Do you know that? And I said, no, I have no clue. And as I said, in hindsight, he was so good because had that specialist who was a lung specialist not been so conscientious, he could have just left that or not bothered looking at that because that wasn't what he was, special. He was looking at the lungs and diagnosing me with the lung. But he says to me, I'm just going to send you down to the, the breast clinic anyway, just to be on the safe side. I just right dead on. And I kind of left in a bit of a daze going, I've got a lump. So I suppose I didn't have that where somebody found the lump going, will it go, will it not go? I didn't have that.
You just didn't.
Because I didn't know I had the lump.
They found it. Yeah.
They found it. So only one thing I do remember, because you were saying this to me yesterday, was there any signs? I was so tired. Oh my God. I mean, there is tired and you be tired because we're all in busy lives.
Can I just say something? So the chest infections and all the things, this was completely different. This was to do with the lung thing. This was nothing to do.
Yes, it's to do with the lung thing. It's nothing to do with the cancer.
And then when you went for the lung thing, they picked it up in the scan.
Yeah, in the scan, they told me I had the lump. But I was just so tired all the time. Like, I mean, tired from my toes. Like, somebody be talking to me in conversation and I'd be kind of like nodding off and saying, I'm sorry, I'm just tired. But I could go to bed and sleep, but I was always tired. That was the only thing I look back that really stood out. Anyway, so then I went down to the breast clinic, got the appointment. And sometimes it's terrible because sometimes the wait even to get down there is horrific. But anyway, that's a whole nother set of things we'll talk about all night. But I went down there and I didn't actually know this that time. But when you go down, and I really want all the listeners to take this on board, if you're sent down with a lump in your breast, when you go down that day, if you've got cancer, you find out that day. So don't ever think, I'll nip out of work for lunch. I'll just drive down. I'll take myself down. No, I always say now, when I've been through the whole journey, if you know anybody going, do not let them go on their own. And do not let anybody drive there. Because could you imagine getting that news and then you have to drive yourself home?
So you go down that
on the day.
Oh, can I just say so here? Minnie, I have seen your comment there, but we're going to do a few wee questions at the end. So I have seen your comment, love. I'm not ignoring you. Please don't think I am. So you go down and say, for instance, as you say, you're not aware that you're going to get the result, and say you get really bad news, or you're going to get bad news. You're on your own.
That must be horrific. And you know what? When somebody tells you that news, it's news nobody ever wants to hear. But most people can't take anything in after that. I mean, they do a lot of talking to you and they take you into this wee room and everything, but literally your brain's going everywhere. You're thinking about your family, your kids, whatever. So you kind of need somebody there to kind of take it in with you. So don't ever let anybody go on their own. That's what I always say. And don't let anybody drive there on their own. So you go down and every day they're packed down there in the Mandeville unit. So you go in, then they give you this, they usually talk to a consultant, because I remember going down before when I had a lot of pain and stuff. This is way before I had my cancer. And they didn't even give me a mammogram. She was like, no, and she diagnosed me with something else. So I didn't even get a mammogram at that stage. But they take you in and you get a wee gown on you, and all these women are sitting in a wee room, all waiting to go in and get their breasts checked. And they go in and give you a mammogram. Now, then that mammogram goes back to the first consultant you've seen. So you're all still sitting in this room. And depending on what they say in the mammogram, they know there and then if there's anything to worry about. So for most women, thank God and please God, this happened to me a few times too. They come back out and say, no, you're fine, on you go. Or the consultant comes in and just tells you, no, there's nothing to worry about, we're on you go. But it's kind of the longer you're there and the more tests they take you in for. They take you into another room where they give you like the scan they give you when you're having a baby, ultrasound. And they do that. And then they look at it again, and then they go out to the consultant and come back. And they do a couple fiddling about like that, and then they tell you to go away and come back. This is what happened to me at the time I found out. And we went away for about an hour. I think it was. They told us to come back in an hour. And we came back and told you back into the consultant. And because at the start, actually, I'm just remembering this now. When I went into her at the very beginning, and she looked at my notes, and she says, you get diagnosed through a lung scan. This is what she said. You get diagnosed through a lung scan. She says, I'm sure this is nothing to worry about. That's the exact words she said to me. And you see, when I came back in after the same day, later on, when she seen me to tell me of cancer, she goes, I need to apologize to you. She says, I did say to you, it's not lung scan, nothing to worry about. She says, you have breast cancer. So she dismissed me at the start, more or less, like saying, oh, no, a lung scan, no. I mean, but I had cancer, and a very aggressive cancer too. And then you find out, and then they take you into a wee private room, and sort of give you these forms to fill out. By that stage, you just kind of.
Is this on the same? Is this on the same day?
The same day. You don't be let go. And I was there, and there's loads of women, and surely, it was down to me and one other woman, I think, and everybody else had gone home. And we were like, right, okay. So the longer you kind of stay, it's not a good sign. Not to scare anybody if they're going down. But
Shaza, how did you feel? How did you feel when you were told that the blood drain? How did you feel?
Yes, I probably wasn't shocked a bit, right? Because you think, you think, no, not me, I'll not get it. No. And I was kind of unusually calm. I didn't start crying or anything. But then the nurse that was there gave me this wee gift, right? It was a wee bag with wipes and wee lip balm and a wee thing in it. And she says, there's a girl who went through her breast cancer. She says, and now she does all marathon runs and she raises money and she donates these wee things, right? She gave me this wee bag, and on top of the bag was a wee quote. And it said something like, don't worry, you're strong enough to fight this. Some lovely wee quote. And that just made me bawl. It was the thought of somebody else being so kind to take the time to make these, which we actually send these down now through our charity. But that's what melted my heart. And then I started crying, going, oh, Jesus. And I think it was the thought of going home to tell my parents, because obviously my parents and all my best friends knew I was going down, and everybody's praying for you, lighting candles and whatever. And the thought of telling my son, going, oh my God, my son. And my son's teacher, his wife had just died from breast cancer, literally about a week before. And the wee daughter was in his class. And that was the first time he'd ever heard of cancer. This wee girl's mummy died. And I was thinking,
what age was your son? What age was your son
11.
At this stage?
My son was 11.
Yeah.
He was in P6, I think. And my son's autistic, and they don't change. And my first thing was, oh my God, am I going to lose my hair? Am I going to lose my hair? Because how's he going to cope with that? Because he loved my hair. I had really, really long hair. And all that, everything goes through your mind, and you don't know. And she says to me, please don't, she gives you a few liters. She goes, can I ask you one favor? She says, please don't go home and start Googling. She says, people don't know this, she says, but there's so many different types of cancer and different types of chemos. And she says, please, will you just promise me you won't go home and start Googling? So I said, okay. And she says, you'll come back in next week and we'll give you more, we'll be able to break down more what type and what grade and all that jazz. So I said, okay. But I said, go home and tell my mum and dad. That probably was the hardest thing, to tell my mum and dad, like, to actually come true. And I was with my partner at the time, and we were coming up the road, and we were actually talking about something else. And I actually texted my friends, and I sort of said, not good news, but listen, I can't talk right now, because I knew everybody would start phoning me, and I wasn't ready to start talking about it right then, that moment. I just wanted a minute to kind of process it. And so I sort of sent one text to everybody and said, look, I'll be in touch. It's not good news, but I'm okay. So when I got out of the car at my mum's, I was kind of smiling. Well, I wasn't crying. And she looked at my face. She's like, oh, thank God, it must be okay. She's smiling. And then to come in and tell her, because she'd lost her sister to breast cancer in her 50s. Like, her sister was 52, I think, when she died. And I was 51 when I was diagnosed. So, that was tough. Telling the people you love us, that's probably one of the toughest things.
The thing about it is, though, too, Shazza, you know yourself, people only mean the best. They only want to be kind.
Absolutely.
But they don't realize sometimes we need time to process things. We need time to work it out in our own heads. And even though they think that they're doing you good, they're actually bombarding you. And you just say, me, just please, just give me time. But then, as I say, when you were diagnosed then, was it long before they started to discuss treatment with you and what treatment options there was going to be? What way did that journey start? There's actually something else I want to bring in, which is a bit personal, but I don't think this has happened yet, because I think you had actually said to me, on top of you trying to obviously get through this yourself, you were actually trying to stay strong for your son as well, because you didn't want to let him see you upset or the not weakness, but you understand what I mean. You were trying to stay strong for him as well,
Yeah.
Which is difficult.
Absolutely. It is. And at the start, I when I went back and they were telling me about my cancer and everything and the planned treatment, I, the thought at the start I wouldn't have had to have chemo, and it is, and the good thing is it does happen all relatively quick. You're not left for ages. Well, I wasn't anyway. Like, I was diagnosed in March, and I think it was April. I had my lumpectomy. Like, it all happens very, very quick. But when I had my lumpectomy, where they took the tumor out, they rang me back then. I still was thinking at this stage I was only having radio, I wasn't having any chemo. So when I went in to get my operation, I told my son I hurt my shoulder and I was going in for that. And I was thinking, he doesn't have to know. I'm not getting chemo. I won't lose my hair. He'll never have to know anything about it. But when they took my tumor out, it was so aggressive from when they'd measured it at the start and when they'd opened me up. Mine was a hormone positive, which means any kind of hormones feed my tumor. So mine was a very aggressive. So what they did was they do a thing called, now they maybe don't do this in everybody, but they did it in my case. It's called the Tennessee test, where they send your tumor away over to America, to Tennessee. That's what my friend was laughing. She says, your tumor's going on holidays and you're not, I have some very funny friends. But so depending on this test that they do, and it really is a reoccurrence test, like how likely you're this type of cancers to reoccur. And I scored very high on the test, and everything taken into account, my age, everything taken into account. They said I would have to have chemo, to really try and just wipe it out, because it was so aggressive. So that was, go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to read something out here. Even though these aren't questions, they're relevant to what you're saying, because many times it says, yes, please don't Google, because any chemo or I need treatment you get for cancer, you don't always lose your hair, because my friend's going through it with hers. Carrie says, don't Google. It's the best advice. I didn't Google when I had a medical issue. Nearly dropped when the doctor in recovery said it's the best sort of cancer to have because it's treatable. Hold on, I've just knocked that off there. Hold on a minute. I've actually lost it now. Sorry, I've lost the comments there. I've actually lost that. Sorry, Carrie, I've actually lost your comment there. I'm sorry about that. But Carrie was saying, Carrie, could you put that in again for me? Because I've knocked it off there. Sorry about that, Shaza.
Yeah, but
It's
breast
been,
cancer probably, God
comments.
forbid, no cancer's good, but breast cancer, if you catch it early enough, is probably one of the best to get because you can, cut it out, take off the breast. I mean, all of it's horrific going through any of it, but at least, you have more probably chance of people who get it in their organs straight away, and it's very far on.
Yes.
That's what my family were all saying to me at the time. Well, if anybody was to get it, you're probably the best one to get it. And I was like, oh, thanks. But they said, no, with me, because I'm a very positive person. And they said, you're probably the best one in the family that can handle it. That my mindset could probably handle it, even though it was horrific. But so yes, I did end up then having to go for chemo, which was, oh my God, a complete nightmare just for me personally. And I wouldn't have went for chemo. I think sorry,
go ahead. No, it's actually got it back here because
I wouldn't have went for chemo because I always said, oh, it's poison. I would have been very much for alternative kind of health, all that kind of way, But I said to the nurse, because obviously they can't make you take it. And they said, go home and talk about it, and whatever. And I thought, right. And I said, what happens if I decided I don't want to take chemo? And because I just know how lethal it is. And they said, well, if you don't take chemo, it's automatically a double mastectomy. And we have to put on your notes that you refused the best case of care that we recommended. So I went home and talked to my parents and thought about everything. And I thought about my son. And I thought, you know what, I'll have to take it because if I don't take it and God forbid it comes back, I can't look at my son in the face and go, well, I did everything I could have done, because in the back of my mind, that way voice would be saying, well, you could have did chemo. They might have came back. So I thought, I'll just throw everything at it. I did talk to my parents about it and thought, no, I'll throw everything at it. And I did take the chemo, but it is horrific. There's no other way around it. And I'm sorry if anybody's listening on the start of their journey. But then I'm in this group with over 100 women, and every single person's journey is different. There's not two people who have the same journey, so it was horrific in my case because the chemo just did not agree with me at all. And, at the end, the oncologist, they changed my chemo 3 times, and in the end, he had to stop it. And he called me in and he said, you are just extremely unfortunate, but the chemo was actually killing your body. And I think it was because I wasn't one for tablets. I was never really sick. I didn't really have anything wrong with me. And my body wasn't used to having anything, hardly a tablet. And then to go from that to taking chemo, which is one of the most toxic things you could put into your body, my body just wasn't ready for it and didn't agree with me at all. And I ended up hospitalized every single time. And I was so ill. I was on that, is it called the ICU or whatever that one is when you're kind of on your last legs? I was on that, and I was so ill. And it was so hard to watch my wee boy watching me go through this. That was probably one of the hardest things for me. But as I say, everybody's different. There's other people get it, and I can't say they sail through it because nobody sails through chemo, but it doesn't be as hard on some people,
As you say, everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
I actually got this comment back because Carrie was actually saying there about her doctor, because her doctor didn't know it was cancer, and he says, did you not Google it? And she says, no, because you don't need the extra intrusive thoughts at that time. Minnie's back there. Lindsay Lou is in. Lindsay Lou.
Yep, that's a friend of mine.
84 is saying probably one of the most positive and supportive people in the world, an angel on earth.
Oh, she's a pet. Thank you, Lindsay.
John's giving you a bit of strength there as well. Now, this is going to be, it mightn't sound hard for some people, but I don't think some people actually don't realize the impact. The next thing that I want to talk about on your journey in your treatment, okay? Did you answer the question? Minnie, as I was saying, that we're doing the questions at the end. Love, no, like the night when you were on, we're going to do them at the end. So that's the way we're going to do it, because we'll be here all night, stopping and whatever. So we'll do them at the end. We certainly will. Carrie will keep an eye on them for me in case I miss on it. Just volunteered Carrie there. Right, okay. This is a difficult part of the journey, and some people maybe don't think it is, but I have spoke to people who have been through cancer, and they're saying, as you were describing the illness, due to the medication, the chemo, the horrible way it affected you, But there's another side to this which has a mental impact as well, which I actually haven't discussed about your mental health going through all this, but I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
So, what I want to talk about is when you realized that your hair was starting to go. Tell me a wee bit about that, please.
Right. I loved my hair. My hair was my crown and glory. And I used to always get lovely compliments about my hair. It was a way down my back. And very thick and very lovely. And when I thought, oh my God, I'm not actually, oh, there it is. People used to always think I had extensions, but I didn't. So when I heard, and my wee boy always loved my hair from his way, he always played with it and all, he loved my hair. So I thought this is going to really affect him as well as me. And, even when you get your head round that you're going to lose your hair, you actually have no concept of what it is to look in the mirror and see yourself bald. And it's not even just your hair that you lose. Like you lose, some people, you lose your eyebrows, your eyelashes, all the hair on your body. Some women even lose their fingernails, their toenails. It's even more than that, the hair on your head. And it's just, it's as if you just fall apart and you're on steroids and you're on all these medications, you're bloat, you're like a big, everything goes out, your hair's off. And I said this, like when I was in hospital and I looked horrific, and because my immune system was so broken down with the chemo, because it kills everything, I was constantly in cold sores. I had cold sores so I looked horrific. And I said to my friends, I almost wanted to take a picture of me in, in a wee frame and go, this is what I normally look like. Like it was just, and the worst of it is, actually, I remember saying this to somebody, and it's so true. Like, you're not looking at yourself all the time because you're not in the bed or you're really sick, but you can see, like, in your family and your friends and the people who love you, their wee faces when they look at you, they're like, and they're trying not to look like shocked, but they can't help it. I'm a real girly girl, so I always have the makeup on, the nails done. I'm always very sort of glam, obviously loads of jewelry. And for me to go to that, if you're showing that, because I gave Stuart pictures and said, show away, I have no problem with it. What the
I'm going to
cancer
show one
actually does.
in a minute.
Show me before and then show me what it did to me. And for you people who, know you as you are, and then to come in and face you in this condition, it's so hard for them as well. It's so hard for people who love you to go through this with you, but so losing your hair, and you forget that you don't have no hair until you look in the mirror or you catch yourself going to the toilet and you're like, oh my God, I have no hair. And it's just, for me, that was one of the worst things that happened to me. Honest to God.
Do they tell you you might lose your hair, or you could lose your hair, or you're going to lose your hair? Do they make you aware of it?
They tell you they do. There's one that's called the Red Devil, they call it. That's the nickname of it, right? And that's the one everybody gets when they have breast cancer. Well, most, unless they're allergic to it or something. Some people can be allergic to chemo. And that is lethal. That is the most lethalist, right? Just kills everything in its wake, but it also kills the cancer. I lost my hair exactly 10 days after my first chemo. That's how lethal that is. But I cut my hair up. A friend of mine's a hairdresser, and I told her to come to my house and to give me like a number 2 all over, because you're not really supposed to shave your head. Now, everybody thinks, you see so many videos of people shaving their head or going to the hairdresser and they shave their head and the husband does or the family friend does or whatever. But you shouldn't do that, because your hair has to fall out, right? And people who do it too tight, the follicles can get affected, and you can get really affected in your head. That's what one thing I watched from a girl who was going through cancer. One bit of advice she gave, and I said, well, I'm not going to shave mine. So my friend came over, and I thought it would have been real emotional, hard for me that day. She shaved off my hair, but I donated it to the Princess Trust. I think it's called the Princess Trust, and they make wigs for wee children who have got cancer. So I thought, well, at least my hair is going somewhere. I'm not losing it in vain, even though it's breaking my heart to lose it. I'm doing something with it. So the thought that, there's my hair ready to be posted off. The thought that it was going to go away and it was going to be made into a wee wig for a wee child who had lost their hair, that softened the blow a little bit for me personally. And then
so
I just had a wee bit of stubble.
Yeah, the advice is,
you're going to lose your hair.
If you lose your hair, is do not get it cropped right to the head. Don't get it cropped right to the head. Leave a bit there, leave a bit of follicle, because you could lose that anyway. Is that what you're trying to say, Shazza?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because when you leave it, like I got a number 1 or number 2, whatever, it was really short, shaved, like not shaved completely, but I had a wee tiny bit. And then I left it so it could fall out. But if you completely shave
Yes.
your head, that follicle can be infected and it can't fall out because there's nothing to fall out with it. I left mine like a number 2, and I left a tiny wee bit like that at the top. And when I was in the hospital and after the first chemo, 10 days exactly, I was completely bald. Like it, and it falls out. It's all over your pillow. It's in your tea. It's so. And people say, and so if you definitely have longer hair, cut it up because apparently it all mats together if you have longer hair and you don't cut it. So cut it, and if you can, donate it because at least you're doing a good thing out of a bad thing. That makes sense. But to see yourself bald, you look like an alien. Now, I did go and get my eyebrows tattooed on slightly. I couldn't get them done the second time. You get them done, then you have to go back like I think it's 6 weeks or 6 months or something later. But I was too sick. I couldn't, and I was on thinners, blood thinners, so I couldn't get them. But a lot of ladies do that. And there's actually some lovely girls who... There's one girl up in Uri now, and she went through breast cancer herself, and I think she might do it for girls free because it's about £300 roughly to get your eyebrows tattooed. But it makes a difference when you are bald to at least have that outline because you look so weird being bald and having no eyebrows at all. It's such a strange, and your eyelashes, you never realise how much you'd miss your eyelashes. And I was used to putting on the fake ones. I couldn't do it at all.
Yeah. Can I just read a couple of things out here because they are relevant to what you're saying? Minnie says, my friend was told you may or you may not lose your hair. So she is panicking, but she never lost it the first time, but the second time she did. Carrie says, the little princess, trust is fab. My husband grew his hair out for a few years, specifically to donate to him. 15 inches he sent off. So proud of him for doing that because he could. And Carrie's just saying to Minnie, a bad offer for a friend, and then he says chemo is absolutely hell. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have a look, Shaza, at you. You give me permission to do this.
Oh, I give you full permission. Yeah, I'm an open book.
So this is Shaza when she lost her hair, and when hold on, John has actually just said something here as well. This is what it's all about, you see. So, friend of mine has just had her 4th chemo session. She had her eyebrows braided recently, and now wears a wig. She looks fabulous. That's what I want to talk about next, Shaza. Yeah. So here we go, folks. This is what Shaza looked like when she wasn't well, basically after you lost your hair. So here we go. And there you go. So where were we then, Shaza? When was this? How long were we into things, or what stage were we at?
I spent so much time in hospital. I don't even know, to be honest, which exact time. I was never out of hospital hardly. Every time I had to go back in. I was afraid to go near A&E because they always kept me. I'd say that was probably, that was probably around July time. I'd say July 23, something around that, probably July, August time.
You just laying there, and you know something? Even though I see me, I get all emotional. I'm actually looking at you. You're sitting there, and I'm saying to myself, "What are you thinking in that photograph? What are you thinking in that photograph?" You know, it's just.
I was just in so much pain. I remember I was saying I had a pickling, and it was the pain of my life, and my heart rate kept going up to 198, and they could not get it down. I was nearly going to have a heart operation. It damaged my chemo, damaged my heart, damaged all my vital organs. But I was just in so much pain, as well as being sad and having cancer and being heartbroken because my partner left me when I was diagnosed. But that's a whole other story. But
that's another story. Yeah. Do you know something? It's amazing that you there. And this is you today, you know. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you made it through. I really, really am.
I know.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. So what do we say? And I bring you back. So moving forward, before we go into support that leads us into Breastmates, okay?
Yeah.
Where we got the Breastmates, right? Wigs. How did this come about? What happens with that? Do you get advice about that? Do they tell you where to go about this?
Well, what's
the procedure?
In Northern Ireland, it's really bad. There is so little people doing this. I mean, I would love if we could get to a place in Breastmates, we're trying, we're hoping that we get a premises, hopefully keep fundraising and get there, that if we have a premises, we'd love to give this service to women because it's so needed. There's very little people out there doing it with the wigs. You do get one wig, but the people who had the contract for wigs, when I was going through it, they were horrific. And everybody was complaining about them, and there was actually forms going around the chemo ward when I was in chemo to try and get them removed. There's that many complaints. I went down, and when I went down to actually look for the wig, I still had all my lovely hair, my lovely blonde, big long hair, and they kept putting black wigs on me, and I was like, my friends were laughing because we took pictures and they're going, "What was the girl blind like when you went in, or what was the story?" They were horrific, and everybody was complaining. And I got a wig.
They were putting black wigs on you.
They put black wigs, and I had blonde hair. Never was anything else. They were horrific.
There.
I looked like some demented fortune teller, I swear to God. But I ended up getting a wig, and they were so horrific, honestly. And I ended up getting a wig, and it was stinking when it arrived. And when I went into my sister had paid for me to go and get this wig fitted, and when I went into the wig place, the girl sort of washed it and it fell apart in her hand, so I didn't essentially get a free wig. And unfortunately turned around, I ended up having to buy a wig which cost me £1,600, which is the biggest regret of my cancer.
£1,600 for a wig.
Ripped off.
I could have give you one of Amazon.
I'm telling you, I have about 40 wigs from Temu, and they are class. I had pink wigs, long wigs, short wigs. I did everything. I really enjoyed the wig journey. I have to say, I really enjoyed the wig journey when I got into it. But you don't realize how do you put them on. The heat makes you sweat. How to take them off, how to wear them. There's so much to wigs. But we're starting to actually have our first thing this month. We're taking girls who are just about to go to chemo, and we are going to have a wee workshop with them and talk to them about losing their hair and talk to them about wigs and scarves. And I went and learned how to, tie all the different scarves in your head, because I'm quite funky and I wanted to. So I wasn't wearing a wig, I was wearing a big, like, male head scarf. So you have to learn how to do all that. But we are going to provide that. Us, the Breastmates, are going to provide that service because it is so needed. And I just wish somebody had told me.
Well, Armani Diamond, they'll help you. Armani Diamond CBE is a drag sensation to the UK.
Oh, happy days.
She says, not being funny, it just needs to speak to a drag queen about wigs, as I've always helped in the UK. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, but there's no facilities, honestly. No. Northern Ireland is so
uncomfortable? Is it obviously because of what you're going through and whatever? Are they uncomfortable to wear? Shaza,
they're very warm. It's a heat more than anything.
Yeah.
It's that, and sometimes you just, when you have had it on a while, you're like, I just want to get this off my head, because you can either wear like it looks like a bit of tights. It's called a wig cap, I think, or you can wear like a rubber bandy thing. I used to like the rubber band thing. I couldn't wear the thing you see people with, like a pair of tights thing. I never could wear them, but I didn't mind the wee band. And I never had a fringe, and I bought loads of wigs that had no fringe, but it worked out for me when I actually bought something that had a bit of a fringe. It looked more real. The ones without fringes look very fake, and you can always notice that they're a wig. So I started wearing ones with a wee bit of a fringe, and they looked real.
Shazza, you're getting loads of advice here, because they're saying that's a good idea. Pair up with some drag queens who have the knowledge about wigs, and many says it's because you've not been given the right wig to wear. So these people know, Minnie's a professional. She's a CBE there. I think it's Ferrari Stanson and that, but she's a CBE, but they know.
I bet you a drag queen could give us so much advice about wigs, but there's nobody else giving advice. I feel like I was personally just ripped off at a really vulnerable time, because I came from the chemo chair into that wig shop chair, and I was green, and I just wanted to get home, and there wasn't a price on anything. And I had Googled about wigs, and I knew maybe there'd be a couple of £100. And when I walked up to the end, I said, I'll take that one. I just wanted out of the place, because I was straight from the chemo chair. And she said £1,600, and I nearly fell through the floor. And I just took out my credit card and gave it. It took me 2 years to pay it off, but that was my biggest waste and my lesson learned. And I'm an advocate for helping people with hair loss, because nobody talks about it really. I've even mentioned it, brought it up to a few of the cancer charities, since hair loss is not covered. And it affects you as a girl. Can you imagine? And all the women that are watching this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine you woke up in the morning and you didn't have any hair. Not one pick. You're completely bald. Imagine how that would feel. And
Many is just, Many just says you've been ripped.
Head being cold.
Yeah, Minnie says you've just been ripped off. You can get a really good wig for £10. She says, trust me,
Absolutely.
I've got them in my wardrobe full of wigs. But as you say,
Oh, me
at that
too.
time, you just wanted to get out.
I was
Right.
so
So,
vulnerable, and I had no
yeah.
idea at that time you could have got lovely ones for off Temu for tenner, and that's the ones I wore. I didn't even wear the £1,600 one. Never had it on my head.
So moving forward, conversation talk about wigs all night. What's
I
that John
know,
once said? Lillian must have been to that shop. She'll be at the bakery if she hears she talking like our John here. Right. So moving forward, why this was here's Stuart's arms waving now. Why this was all going on, Shaza, right? Moving into forward to we're going forward in here, into the support.
Yeah.
What support did you get when this was all going on? At
Well,
that time now?
at the
At
time,
that time?
not a lot, because when I came home actually, and after I told my parents and my friends and that, the first thing I did, because I am such a people person and I love meeting people and I love talking. Some people, when they get diagnosed, go very insular and they don't want nobody to know, they don't want nobody to find out. It's very private, and that's their prerogative. People, but I'm the complete opposite. I want to talk about it. I want to find somebody who knows what I'm supposed to do next. Da, da, da. So the first thing I did when I got home, I took out the iPad and I said, right, breast cancer support Northern Ireland. Now the place is riddled. We are riddled with cancer. It's one of the highest places. So I thought, right, I wonder where my nearest one is. Could I believe it when there was nothing? Now, I know we have our Macmillans and our Cancer Focuses and Cancer Now and that, and they're all big, organisations that you can ring, if you're feeling down, helpline, or Macmillan have nurses. But where was our support group? There wasn't. And I was like, what? How can there not be a support group?
I told you when I was speaking to some members of the group, when I said you were coming to speak to us, there was friends of theirs and people around them who had been through something similar to yourself, and they told me the exact same thing. There is nothing. There was nothing, because obviously you're there now, but there's nothing.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. I really can't believe that.
How can there not be? Like, there's groups for everything. How can there not be a breast cancer support group where all the women who have breast cancer? So I was so shocked. And, what was even hard for me was because my partner left me at the time, I didn't have a person. I didn't have a person at night to go, Pet, you're going to be all right. Do you want to have a cup of tea? And apparently that happens to a lot of women, actually. Women never leave the men, but a lot of men leave their women in that situation. And, even when I went to the chemo, like, everybody was sitting there with their man or their woman or whatever, sitting beside them, holding their hand, going through it. And I didn't have that. And it was so hard. And it was so hard to put on the brave face. And I just remember all my crying was done in bed at night because I was by myself. And going, this is really, really hard. I had to be my own kind of saviour.
Yeah. And also, you said to me, you didn't want really your son seeing you upset.
I didn't want my son to see me upset, because my son, because of his autism, he would get upset. He would cry too. He's, autistic kids are really in touch with their emotions, so they can feel other people's emotions. So if I had been really upset, it would have just broke his wee heart. But anyway, so I couldn't believe there was nothing. I was like, what the hell? There's nothing. So I remember saying to somebody one day, going, I feel I've got nobody to cry to. I really feel it. I didn't want to, I had to be brave. My family were so good, and everybody, my friends were amazing, but I just felt like I had nobody that I could really just cry to and get comfort from, be there for me, because I was sort of, my personality, and because of what I did for work and the person that I am, everybody relies on me. I'm everybody's rock. So I didn't have a rock, if that makes sense, and you really need one. But so anyway, a couple of months later, I was talking to a girl in Macmillan. I can't remember where I met her or whatever. And I was saying, I can't believe there's nothing. She goes, well, actually, she says, there's 3 girls from Newry, she says, who met during chemo. It was COVID times, I think. And she says, they are starting up, Macmillan are funding them to start up a breast cancer support group. And it's going to start on June 23. And meeting in the Canal Court, which is a hotel in Newry. And that's the first meet-up. And I think it was the day after my first chemo. Or the day before, one of the two. I can't remember exactly, but I remember having a wig in my head anyway. And meeting the girls and Macmillan talking and all the. I was thinking, this is brilliant. Oh my God, people who have experienced this. All these women have had cancer, And when you're on the start of your journey, and you maybe see somebody across the room and they've come out of it like 10 years ago, you think, oh right, well, she's still here. That's great, to see, because one woman was joining our group last week and I was on the phone to her and she said, well, like mine was 12, 15 years ago. Like, can I really join the group? I said, yes, you are the people,
absolutely,
just starting the journey want to hear from. Because, we're all, you're petrified at the start, and you don't know, am I going to get out of this? It's like me, I always say, like everything that could have went wrong for me went wrong. And people laugh at it, but they know it, because I just had such bad luck. But look at me now. I'm sitting here. I'm talking to you. My hair's grown back to this length. That's why I wear my hair down, actually, so people can see my hair did grow back eventually. And I'm here. And I'm living a full life. And, it can go all pear-shaped. And you can be on your deathbed, as I was. And you can make it true. So I want that to inspire other people. Okay. So I said to this lady, no, absolutely not. You're the kind of, we need people like you in the group. So it's anybody, our group, it can be for anybody, as long as they've had a diagnosis of breast cancer. Unfortunately, It's just breast cancer ladies we deal with, and men, if men have, any men.
Can I just ask you something very quickly, very, very quickly?
Yeah.
Because we're going to go into the details of what Breastmates can do to help people, because I've got a list, right? Right. When did you find out then that it was basically gone or remission, or I don't know the right terminology here, so I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, they gave you. I did my chemo, and they had to stop my chemo in the end because it was just killing me. So I didn't get to ring my chemo bell, which was so depressing because everybody else got to ring the bell and I didn't. But anyway, and then you go to your radio. So I had a extensive period of radiotherapy, and it's every day, but I have to say, after going through chemo, radiotherapy is a walk in the park. It feels like, not disrespecting anybody who just went through radio, but when I get up the first day, I said, is that it? And the girl says, everybody who goes through chemo always goes, is that it? Because chemo's so horrific that radio just seems, you just sort of lie there and you get the radiation, but it's not, it's very quick. It's only about 20 minutes or whatever. So I did that. And then, they sort of just say, right, they put you on tablets for 5 years and they tell you, and then a year after that, you come in and they give you like a mammogram scan, and that your cancer's still away, basically. So you just trust that they got it, and that's kind of, you just hope it hasn't went anywhere else, and then they take you back every year for your mammogram. And you're, in a way, you're kind of, and the girls always complain about this, you're kind of just left to your own devices, and it's quite scary, actually, because you're going from seeing nurses every week, taking your blood, getting weighed every week, getting your chemo, being in the hospital, and then suddenly you're kind of, it's as if everybody disappears. And a lot of people find that period is very difficult for some women. It's mentally, everything, it's hard to make that adjustment from being so poked at, prodded, looked after. I remember saying, it feels like my body's not my own, because somebody was saying, we'll do this to her, we'll do that. And I remember one time landing in the hospital bed crying, going, hold on, have I any say in what happens here? Like, do I have a say? I remember once wanted to give me a blood transfusion and I wouldn't take it. And the doctor was really angry at me. And I just thought, it's my body at the end of the day. And they were telling me everything that was going to happen to me, but they never said, is that all right with you? Do you know what I mean?
You're like an object. You're just like an object.
Poked and prodded and, the attitude. I remember one time that when my second chemo, they couldn't get anything in my vein. And some of the nurses, there were some lovely ones, but there was one bit sharp, shouldn't have been in the job. And she pulled the thing out and she says, this stuff gets on you, it'll scar you for life. And she pulled it out and the blood went everywhere. And I started crying. It was this lovely wee trainee nurse fella. Me and him were getting on great and having the crack. And I was crying at him, laughing with him, and then crying. And I said to myself, it's not my fault if they can't get it in. That's not my job. That's their job. She at the head of me. And I thought, that girl is in the wrong job. Like, as if I wasn't true enough. And I came out that day out of the chemo, my brother and his girlfriend waiting on me. And they goes, yeah, your second chemo down. And I was like, no, they couldn't get it in. They couldn't get the chemo in. And I was 2.5 hours then poking, prodding me, trying to get in the vein. They even took a doctor at the very end from the hospital, Craigavon, over to me. I was up like a balloon because I was that much poked and prodded, and I didn't get, and I missed my chemo.
Let's tell you something. They're everywhere in the NHS. Don't start me because I get into trouble a bit with GP practice.
Oh, we're going to hear all night talking about the NHS, I know.
Oh, don't. Now, I just want to say something. Good night, Tim. I know you can't stay. I need to go. Sure. Thanks, Shaza, for sharing your story and the charity. Good night, everyone. There's questions coming in. I will be doing questions at the end, folks. We haven't got much more to go, so just bear with us. Right. Okay. Breastmates. Let's talk about
Yeah,
Breastmates. So basically,
Breastmates.
you got involved with Breastmates through these girls.
Yeah,
They were the main inspiration for it through the being through chemo and stuff. And then, so
yeah.
when did Breastmates first get off the ground? When did it become a charity, and where did we go from
Well,
there? And then I'm going to bring up a
right.
list of what you do.
Okay. They the first meeting ever was June 23.
Right.
And we only became a charity, a registered charity, because that was a long process. We only became a registered charity just last year, the end of last year. So it's only really now we've got our charity number. We can get our charity boxes out there. We
It's
can
not
do.
easy to get.
It is not easy to get, but and that's
No.
why we couldn't really do the big push, because it took so much to try and get to that place. And unfortunately, which is really hard, one of the girls out of the three girls that founded it, she actually unfortunately passed away last May. Diane, beautiful girl, and the cancer came back, and that's the hardest thing when the cancer comes back. Like we've lost three of our members, and we lost our lovely Diane last year, and that's hard when you've been through so much with these girls, and then it comes back and they don't make it this time. That on your heart, it's just so hard in your heart, and it makes you reevaluate your journey. And every day I feel so lucky to still be here, just seeing a wee boy grow up and to be with my friends and do whatever thing. And it's like we know how blessed we are to be here, because there's other girls that didn't make it.
I suppose when something like that happens, obviously when somebody passes away who's a good friend, it also brings you back to earth and as well, and reminds you where you came from and what could possibly
and what's
have happened
important in
to
life,
you.
what's really important, and
Absolutely.
cherish every day, because you don't know what's around your corner. You don't know what. Like,
No.
had I any clue that that 2023 was the most horrific year of my life? No, you just don't know. And then last year, actually, my wee daddy got lung cancer, and he had to go for radiotherapy, and I was able to tell him what to expect. Like he passed, God bless him. But me being through it first, I was able to drive him where to go and take him and tell him what to expect and all. So that was a good thing sort of came out of it. But you don't know. But it makes you really. You've been through cancer. It makes you. I think everybody changes because it makes you really appreciate your life and realize, don't sweat the small stuff and how petty things are, and move away from all that, because you just being here every day and waking up and opening them eyes is a gift.
Absolutely. Right. So what we're going to do is, Carrie says you definitely don't know what's around the corner. Right. So what we're going to do is let's have a look at this. This tells us a wee bit about what Breastmates actually can provide as in support. And you could. I think I've got actually two lists here, so I'll do this one first. Okay. I actually took it and enhanced it a wee bit to make it a wee bit bigger.
That's fine. Yeah.
So
no bother.
We shall see it. So Breastmates. Now, let's clear something up first, Shaza, before you get into your list, right?
Right.
You just don't help people in Uri. You will help and discuss everything with everybody in Northern Ireland, correct? Anywhere.
Yes, if I have a breast cancer diagnosis, we will. It says, we thought we were covering the Southern Trust, but we'd never turn anybody away. So, yes, everywhere. Right now, because there's nowhere else. So, everywhere, yes.
Okay, so it says here, I'm reading it here because I can see it better.
Yes, you read it because I can't see it even with my glasses on.
Breastmates Newry, you don't have to face breast cancer alone. Who are we? Breastmates Newry is a local breast cancer support group offering friendship, understanding, and practical support to those affected with breast cancer. We provide safe, confidential, and welcoming space where members can connect with others to truly understand the journey. And then we go on to this one, which sort of gives a list there. Can you see that one?
Yeah, I can sort of see it. My eyesight's wild, and this is a small screen, but yeah.
I'll just wait till this comes up here, and I'll be able to see it. So the first, I'll go through it with you. So you offer support. You offer support and connection.
Yeah, that's true.
And you go ahead, and you also have monthly coffee.
Yes, we have monthly coffee.
Yep.
We do 4 or 5 things every month. So when you join us, you join into, we have 2 Facebook pages, we have an Instagram page, and we have a closed WhatsApp group, and we have a closed Facebook group, and that's where all the women can ask all their questions and the personal stuff and share things and tips and tricks and whatever. So nobody in the public sees that. We do monthly coffee meetups in the morning and the evening for people who work, and that's when you get a chance to actually sit down, talk to the ladies, get to meet each other, have a cup of coffee and a wee bun and a wee bit of crack. Then we do monthly member meetings, which is the last Wednesday of every month, where we come together. We always have lovely tea, and one of our girls, Brenda, makes gorgeous buns, and we meet and we update the ladies what we're doing, what's the next upcoming things. You know, they all again get to meet each other, and we just catch them up on all the things that are happening. We do a workshop every month. Well, I think I sent you a clip of this one. I met this lovely girl. I was actually doing Mrs. Claus down the boulevard, and I met this lovely girl, Sharon, who was doing like the elf from Mrs. Claus, and she is a belly dancer, and she worked with all these big light up wings. So our workshop in January, she came with all these big wings, and we put on the music. Yes. I sent you the wee clip of it. It was class.
I know. I had that many fays. I couldn't fit it all.
I know there's so many. I know I sent you two, far too much. But every month we do a different workshop, and this month we're doing 2 dance workshops, and we do a body up system where. So I had lumpectomy, and I had cancer, and I had radio, right? So if we fill in our membership form, we ask those kind of questions, like when we diagnose, you know, did you have this, did you have that, did you have that? Like we have some people with lymphedema, so we try and buddy women up. Of course, if they want it, some people want it, some people don't. But if somebody was coming in with a similar journey to mine, then they would buddy them up with me. So I'm kind of that person's introduction to the group. If they want to call me, if they want to meet me for a wee cup of coffee, just so that they're not so alone in their journey, and until they get to know everybody, or as long as they want them. So that's a new thing we have, the buddy up system. And then we have complementary therapies, which we offer to all our ladies, reflexology, facials. We're doing a special lymphatic drainage for all the women with lymphedema. And we do all kinds of different workshops. We do wellness retreats. We do a lot of trips and outings, going to the theatre, going to musicals, going for shopping trips, going for days out. We went to a lovely castle down around Dublin one time. We're starting the hair loss thing, where we're gathering up wigs, headscarves, all the bits and pieces that you need, and we're going to start doing workshops for the girls who are heading into that, you know, before they get to where they lost the hair, to kind of prepare them a wee bit for that and let them try on wigs and see what that's like. We do some yoga retreats. Knitted Knockers, who is a fantastic girl, she's based down in Lurgan. Joanne Harris, you definitely have to have her on. She's amazing. She knits prosthetics. I'll never say that word right. And we have those for our members as well, for the normal ones and the ones for Pamela who likes to swim. She won the Pride event, and she's fantastic. She's down in Lurgan. She's a great space down there. She also does her main things in Knitted Knockers, but she does offer things for women down in Lurgan. So I definitely advise anybody, if they're down that direction, look her up. And Knitted Knockers is fantastic. So it's like, and we make up a resource. We're in the middle of doing this at the minute. We are making like every resource together, so that
I just can't get over how much he's do. You've only been going
so many people don't know about
officially a year, and look at the amount of stuff that you do and you provide, and you've only really been officially a charity for just a year. And you know, there is one thing I will say: you are working on the counselling ends of things as well. You're looking into that.
Two of our in the future. 2 of our members are trained counsellors, and they're our members. So they have offered to, with women come to the meeting, that they could, if anybody, I made a wee thing around your neck, very discreet, just saying, let's chat. So they'll wear them. So if somebody's coming in and they really just need to offload or talk, one of these 2 girls that are trained counsellors will take them off into the wee personal space, get them a wee cup of tea. Sometimes they just want to talk and they listen, you know. But that's available there. Or any of us are always at the end of, I can say to people when I join them up, I say, like, call me anytime, whatever you need. If you want to talk to somebody, just call me, because I know the importance of having somebody there to talk to. And like all the bigger like Macmillan and all them ones, Cancer and all, Cancer Focus, they all offer counselling as well. But usually there's a big waiting list for all that. But we can't do one-to-one counselling all the time. But we're working to maybe we'll get to a space where we could hire a counsellor on a more of a, you know, full-time basis or part-time basis. It's funds, and because we don't have premises. Now, a GAA club in Newry, very, very generously, the Shamrocks, offer us their hall for our monthly meetups and for our workshops. And then obviously we go to wee coffee shops for our coffee things. But we are really, really trying hard at the minute to start resourcing premises, because we want a base that we can put our stuff, that women who've just been diagnosed can come straight in, sit down, get a cup of coffee, talk to us. You know, when somebody's been through it themselves, they can give you the good pointers. They can give you the tips. Like, nobody told me when I was going through chemo, you're supposed to be sucking a sweet or drinking water or sucking a lolly. Not one person had told me about that. And my mouth, the inside of my mouth, you know how sore an ulcer is? Well, imagine 1,000 ulcers in your mouth. My whole mouth inside was like an ulcer. And not one person had given me that information. And I didn't know that I could have sucked the lolly and stopped all that.
Okay, folks, just to let you know, these information will be posted into the group. Shaza actually did it a couple of weeks ago, and you're more than welcome to do it. Anything to do with your group, Shaza, if anytime you want to share it in the chatter house, you're more than welcome. Just share
brilliant.
Away.
Thank you.
We will put all the Facebook information, the WhatsApp information, the Instagram, any contact, it'll all be put in the group. Anybody on YouTube who maybe can't get into Facebook, just replay this back and pause it, and you can get all the information there. So, Shaza, before I ask you my final question of today, I just want to say, by the way, thank you very much for coming in. Let's get some.
Thank you for having me.
Can I just
say one thing more before I forget?
Go ahead.
Or the girls in Lynchma. We are actually having on the 8th of March, it's International Women's Day, and conveniently it's on a Sunday, which is great. And we are having an event in the Canal Court in Newry. That's there, and it's for all women. And it's going to be Prosecco on arrival, a 3-course meal. There's going to be a fashion show, goodie bags, and lots more. Comedy host Comper, Leanne McCooey, she's Newry, she's a really funny girl. So there's a few tickets left, so if anybody wants to grab any of their girlfriends, their mums, their sisters, their aunts, their grannies, the tickets are only £30, and it's going to be an amazing day. So I just have to get that wee plug in there. That's what
I actually had it in front of me, and I forgot about it, to be quite honest with you. Right. One more thing I want to do before we do members' questions, because I think there is a couple of questions waiting.
Yeah, no problem. I can answer anything.
Something I want to say. I want to read this out first of all. Okay. Because I don't want to leave anybody out. David Thompson saying, evening. Sharon Rogers 3575 says, well done to you both. Very informative. Sharon from Newry. Thank you, Sharon. Right. I can't, before I go on to some questions, leave the men out. Okay?
No, absolutely.
Because men get diagnosed, even though it's lower, even though it's not as high, it still happens. So, male breast cancer is rare in Northern Ireland, with approximately 11 men diagnosed with the disease each year. It accounts for less than 1% of all breast cancer cases, with a lifetime risk about 1 in 714 for men by the age of 85. The median age of diagnosis is 72, which is generally 10 years older than for women. Okay? It says incidents, roughly 11 new cases are diagnosed annually. The risk is rare, with about 1 in 714 men developing it by the age of 85. Usually diagnosed men over 60, with the median age 72. Comparison over 100 times less common in men, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And you were just saying to me, and for me, just saying this very carefully, we have only been speaking about this recently, the last couple of days, and coincidentally enough, someone had actually reached out to you or something, or someone had actually, you became aware of a man, didn't you, there on Instagram?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, through Instagram. So I actually wanted to try and talk to that man, because I would be interested to hear the man's journey. Now, they get the same, I researched this, they go through the same, the chemo, the lumpectomy or the mastectomy, which means when the nipple's taken off and and the behind the nipple. So, but it would be very interesting. I would love to actually, I've never, talked to the man face to face who actually went through the breast cancer journey. I think it'd be very interesting, actually. Just to see what it was like for him. But just on a quick note, I was at this cancer weekend thing and I met a guy, and it was for all cancer survivors, all different types. And I met a guy who had got stomach cancer and he had got chemo, but he is a biker and he had the long hair all his life and he had the beard. And he said for him, the hair loss thing, losing the beard, losing all his lovely long hair, nearly killed him. And the two of us sat there actually and cried together, because at that stage my hair hadn't grown back or anything. And I said, oh my God, I finally met somebody who, they just really felt they lost their identity. Because you can imagine, for a biker with his lovely long hair and his big long beard, he felt like he absolutely lost his identity. We both agreed there has to be more done about the hair loss thing and what to do when that happens. And you really do. You feel like you lose yourself completely. But sorry, I'm digressing, but I just remember that now.
Okay, so could we have our questions, please? There was a couple of questions that come up there. A good friend of mine had cervical cancer. Thank goodness she's okay now. It's our Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Now, I think our Mini Diamond CBE wanted to confirm something about, I'm only using this by memory. You have to move out for the delay on Facebook, Shaza. There was a couple of questions come up there. I'm just waiting to see if they'll come up. If anybody got the questions there was 2 or 3. There's not very many. I just want to confirm what the questions were.
And I'll answer. I'm an open book. As I said to Stuart, you can ask me anything, and if I have the answer, I'll give it. Any question you ever want to ask somebody with cancer, ask it now, because I really, really am a very open person, and I'll talk about anything.
I think one of the questions was, Minnie Diamond said, a friend of hers or something. Was it? I think you did actually mention. Well, hold on now. Minnie has this question. I don't want to scare anyone, but one of my good friends had breast cancers 10 years ago, went for the operation and all that, and then 2 years ago it came back on the other breast. Is that common? Are you aware of?
I know of a woman who, so they give you like medication for 5 years, and you have to stay on a certain medication for 5 years after you've had breast cancer. And I know of a lady, and on her last day of her 5 years, she found a lump in the other breast, and it was another type of cancer. Can you imagine?
Still on treatment for the other one.
She was on the last day of her last, and she
and this other cancer was different.
and the other breast, and a different type of cancer, so it had to be treated different. Like, I never knew there was different types of chemo. I never knew there was different types of cancer. I thought cancer, right? You've got cancer, but there's so many different types: positive, negative, hormone driven, not. There's all triple negative. There's so many. I don't even know them all. But
is this just for even breast cancer? Is all different types
breast cancer? Yeah, there's so many different types. That's why they said don't go home and Google it to find out exactly what you have. Her positive, her negative, triple negative, all different kinds.
Was there any more there, Carrie? Please. Carrie says, and this question too. Sorry to ask again. Did you lose your nails, Shaza, during chemo? Because my friend has lost hers. But I think you said that is possible, didn't you?
Yes, I didn't lose my nails now, thank goodness, because I'm mad about the nails. But a couple of the girls in the group did, so it can happen. You can lose your fingernails and you can lose your toenails as well. It has a lot to do with the drugs they put you on, but yes, that is a natural thing that does happen for people. Not all, not everything, but yes, that is a possibility.
Okay. Any more? Or is that it? Let's just give a couple more seconds. I think that's it, actually. Just while we're waiting, Shaza, thank you very much for coming to do this tonight.
Thank you for allowing me to come and talk about our lovely Breastmates.
Right. Here's a very good question.
Okay.
Now, you might not, just to let you know, Shaza is not medically trained, folks, but she can.
Yes, definitely not.
go by experience. Wendy McKay has asked, if you have had breast cancer and got the all clear, how many times a year do you have to get tested after that? What do they recommend? Or is it different for everybody? Once a year?
No, it's once a year. around the same time as you were diagnosed. So mine would come round in March again, or around the time you had your surgery. They'd only give you a thing once a year. Now I won't get mine because I had already been down just a couple of months ago with a lump, but it wasn't cancerous. But so they said to me then, you'll not get your mammogram then, in March because you've already been here now, because they don't want to give you too many because it's like radiation, the mammogram, so they don't want your body to go through it unnecessarily. But when I actually was diagnosed, I was 51 and I had my mammogram when I was 50, as you do. Although there's a lot of girls saying right now it should be younger because there's more and more younger girls being diagnosed. But they actually said to me, they said, we see you got a mammogram when you were 50. They says, we'll have to do an internal investigation now to check that possibly that cancer wasn't missed. Because it was there when it was 51, but if it's 3, but yeah, but younger and younger and younger. Sure, it was on the TV there, but that girl is 17 down in the UK. That was terrible. I think she was in the UK. She even said it was 15, and they wanted to check and they wouldn't check. I said, no, she's far too young. And the wee girl died. Like, really, people are getting younger and younger. And there's girls talking about going to chemos and those wee 20-year-olds in beside them. And, it really, and I think Northern Ireland, where cancer is so rife, 1 and 2, like, nearly I was thinking it should be the first thing they should be really checking for if somebody's just saying something's not right,
Yeah. So basically, Carrie says, so is there any similar groups for cancer in general? I think it's just you, really, isn't there, for
breast cancer? There is
Northern Ireland
in Lurgan. Yeah, that's all I know. Also, I don't know anyone in Belfast. I don't know unless if there's anybody listening here and you are one, let us know. But there's only us and Knitted Knockers, but Knitted Knockers was more on the Pacific, doing the prosthesis. I can't say the word, and they send it out all over the world. That's it.
And also, Carrie says, is the charity in touch with the MLAs, etc., for funding and securing premises? There's an avenue you could maybe explore.
Okay. I'll definitely look at that.
She's got experience this there.
Some people are brilliant. Like, it's always like everything. It's a knowledge of who you know or who you can talk to or who we're still our charity. Like, Knitted Knockers are going 10 years this year, and we're still in our infancy really, because we've just become a charity. But we're all so passionate and determined, and we want to. As I say, I keep saying, get a premises. We need a premises. We need a base. Once we get a base, then we can put our stuff. We can do more for the women. So.
But now you are a charity, it can open doors as well.
Absolutely,
Shazza, it really can open doors. But Carrie says there, if you go to the MLAs and tell them, explain to them the work you're doing, and they'll see your registered charity, they might be able to help. You never know. So before we finish tonight, one final question.
Okay, go for it.
What do you see in the future for Breastmates? What way do you see it going? What way would you like it to move forward to succeed in, and what it's not doing today?
Well, I would love to see. We have roughly about 100 members at the minute, and people are contacting us every day, which is fantastic. Since we started, pushing out in social media, people are becoming more aware, and we're all with new members every day. But I would love us to get a premises. I would actually love to be at the point where we could even get that wig contract, supply the women with the wigs and come in, have our base where we provide all the workshops. We have something nearly going on every day. I said the other day to the girls, I would love if they could look back and say, when other towns are, starting up or getting, a wee support group, go, let's look at what Newry Breastmates have done. Look at their role model. Look what they achieved. I want it to be that other people can look to us and go, right, let's get that for our women. Like, I can't believe Belfast has nowhere. Like, I know we have all our cancer focus and we have those, but not like a support group that we have, And you make some friendships. I have made the most amazing friendships, and they're now my best friends from women that I didn't even know before I got sick, and now they're my best friends. Like,
I sit and see that photograph of you sitting with no hair, not well, suffering, and you are sitting there bouncing. You are bubbling. You are brimming. You're full of enthusiasm. You have really focus on what is going to happen here, and you're going to make it happen. And the other ladies and people who are involved, these are going to make it happen. I can see you're passionate, you're enthusiastic, and it's flowing.
Yeah.
Karen Avey said, nice to see you, Karen. You are absolutely, and you will get there. I know you will get there.
Because you know what it
I'll
is?
keep
I think that's
doing
the
the,
reason I got my cancer. You know, they said reason of everything, Stuart. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. They said
no?
there's a reason. And I always said, I'll find
Yeah.
out my reason. I'll find out my reason. And I think I was sitting the other night and I goes, I think this is my reason. Since I took over
Cause
the committee of this.
I can actually see you
I've,
sitting there and you're jumping in your seat.
oh, I get so excited.
You are
I'm doing this
jumping in your
morning, noon,
seat.
and night. I'm
Um,
not in a relationship, and I say if it was, they'd probably finish with me because I eat, breathe, sleep Breastmates. But I do it with so much passion because it means so much to me. Because I wish the Breastmates that I want to make existed when I was diagnosed, but I want to make it for all the women that are coming behind. You know that we will be there.
Some comments here. Lindsay Lou says Shazza works harder than someone with a full-time job. And BB says Breastmates has been a lifeline since I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. Well done, Shaza, for your great service. You're blooming. Love the nails, by the way. And everybody over here is saying brilliant interview. Kai says your reason is to support others for sure. You're an absolute inspiration and your passion just shows so much. But I just want to say something very quickly, and I forgot to say this right at the start. I just want to share very quickly how I actually got in touch with Shaza, and it's a really, really strange story. And these things happen for a reason, and I do not know why.
100%.
Our Auntie Lillian, my alter ego, has a profile of her own. And someone out of, did you ever find out who it was? No?
No, I must find out. I think I
No?
might have, but I forgot. Chemo brain and menopause
Someone,
brain. I never can remember anything.
someone out of Breastmates started following Auntie Lillian's profile. Well, obviously with me, with this group and stuff, I dived in immediately and contacted Breastmates because that's what the Chatterhouse does. It's all about awareness, helping others, and communication. Um, yes, they actually do. I've just been asked another question here,
Okay.
and I actually get answered for you, but I'll let you answer it. John McMaster
Yeah.
says, do they offer advice to men who maybe have a wife or partner who is going through breast cancer, like advice on how to support the women going through the treatment? It's an amazing
Absolutely. We would do
question.
that. That is a really good
John,
question.
uh-huh,
I'd be happy to have a
yeah.
call with anybody, honestly, and just say, anything you could do to help them. Absolutely. That's a brilliant question. Very good question. I mean, if we get to a space where we'd have our own rooms and all, it'd be great if we could have them in and if they wanted a wee chat and a cup of tea and a wee bit of advice. And,
Because
I'd
you
be open to, I
understand,
would have everything.
John's sitting there, like say for instance, it was John and his partner's wife, and say his wife's going through it, and maybe he's struggling as well as and he maybe needs a wee bit of advice about what his wife's going through, and
Yeah.
and what the treatment is. Someone to talk to. That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
question. It really,
Because,
really,
like,
it
it
really,
not
really
only
is.
affects the person, it affects the
Hmm.
whole family. It
Yeah.
affects the partners, the husbands, the kids, the parents. Like, it really, really took so much out of my parents because, like, they
Hmm.
genuinely thought I was going to die. And it not even sad even thinking about that. But, you know, and I watched my wee mummy, just and trying to put on a brave face, and that's so hard, and people don't know how to help you. So many people feel so helpless, and it's only one thing you always get, and I'm sure a lot of people will identify with this for any kind of illness. You're always surprised who steps forward and is there for you, and you're always surprised who steps out of your life.
Yeah. And John
Oh
also
my
said,
God.
John says it would be great for the partners of the person going through the treatment to get help on how best to support them.
That would be a
Unbelievable.
great group to start, wouldn't it? A wee support group for them.
Mm-hmm.
The way
Mm-hmm.
like an AA and all they have,
Family.
is it
Mm-hmm.
Anon,
Oh,
is it for the
I.
people who have,
I
that
would
would
on.
be a
Yep.
brilliant
Yep.
thing. Because
Mm-hmm.
like there's a fantastic question, John. Like, is there anybody out there offering that service?
No.
You know what I mean? For
No.
people that are their loved
Because
ones are going
yes,
through cancer, is there anywhere
you're
they
going
can go to
through.
talk?
Yes, the person is going through the physical stuff and the mental, obviously the mental health side of things, because I know chemotherapy and all can affect your mental health and whatever.
Yeah.
But there's other people going through this with you. Yes, you're going through it physically, being sick and whatever, and mentally. But these people are going through it too with you.
Emotionally. Like, I'm
And maybe
sure
need a
people,
wee bit
family
of
members are
advice how to
thinking,
support you. You know, how do I
yeah,
support? How do I support you? I don't
exactly.
know how to support. You know, the doors are
Yeah.
opening, Shaza. The doors are
I'm
opening.
telling you, we'll have to get another extension built on. We get this building just for the wee group, that wee group.
Yeah. Wendy says cancer is just a horrible word. Horrible word. Well, Shaza, look, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Oh, I really loved it.
Your enthusiasm and your drive for this charity is unbelievable, and long may this charity continue and grow. And
Thank you so much.
maybe in a year's time or whatever, I maybe have a catch up. Well, obviously I'll speak to you before that because we have something else
Yeah.
planned, but I'm not going to
We
reveal
do
that.
indeed, and
We
I'm so
do. We're not
excited for that.
going
You can't
to
tell us yet.
reveal it. We're not going to tell you. Not going to tell you. Joe McMaster says, "Thank you, Shaza. You're an inspiration, but you are. You know,
Oh,
look where you were. Look what you've been through, and look where you are today. All these people here who are connected to you all have great things to say about you and the work that you're doing and the work that they are doing to help you as well.
It is absolutely, it is a team effort, and we have a great bunch of girls. You know, you need a team, and we are a solid team. And you know what makes us a really good team? Actually, the people that are driving force behind this, we came together as, you know, cancer survivors, and because of that, we built strong friendships. And now I have a group of, like, we're in a group of 9 women, and we're friends first. And because we have the solid friendship that we made together through this group, we are now like running the group, and we're like rock solid, and everybody wants to see everybody succeed. And we are all so driven, and we will do it, and we will achieve it. And yes, have me back on about a year's time, see where our building is.
See where you're going to go.
See where it is. See what we can offer. But I am definitely holding that in my heart. So thank you. Was it John that gave that suggestion?
Yes, brilliant.
Thank you, John.
Things to read out. A few things to read out. Carrie says, "Thank you, Shaza, for your time tonight and for sharing your story with us. You're one hell of a woman." Wendy McKay says, "Lovely woman, wishing you all the best." And Matt McGinley says, "Very interesting and informative show tonight. A friend of mine starts her first round of chemo tomorrow."
Oh, God bless her. Get her to get in touch with us when she's ready. Honestly,
if she needs any help, Matt, if she needs any help, we'll put all the details there. If she wants somebody to talk to. Doesn't matter if she's not in Uri. Again, this is not just for people in Uri.
Anywhere. So no, it is not. It's for anybody who's going through breast cancer, and everybody, because there just is nothing out there. Now, we are here for everybody. Most of the things are happening in Uri because we're kind of based in Uri, but people from anywhere can reach out, honestly, and please do. We're on all the socials, and it's just a matter of texting the number, and I have their phone, and I get back to you more or less straight away.
Okay, folks. Well, listen, Shaza, thank you so much for. If you stay there, Shaza, even though I'm going to switch off, you stay for a couple of minutes, okay? Well, listen, folks, thanks very much for coming tonight. Once again, Shaza, thank you very much for being very brave to share your story and also to talk about Breastmates. I want to know more and how Breastmates do through time, but we haven't, as I say, lost connection because we have things to do yet. But Matt says he will pass the details on to his friend.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matt.
Well, listen, folks, thanks very much for coming in tonight. Don't forget, next Tuesday, we are moving nights again now, next week. We're back to Tuesday nights again, but we're going to be at an earlier time next week to see if it helps everybody, because some people were saying 8:30 is a wee bit late. So next week, we're back to Tuesday nights, but we are starting at 7:30 next week. And next week, it's Stuart and Lee's Tuesday night trivia quiz. I've actually talked them in. This is my partner, Shaza. I've actually talked them in and joining me for a night. So it's Stuart and Lee's Tuesday night trivia next Tuesday night at 7:30. The event is there. If you're going, please click going to let us know how many's going to come in. Good night. Hold on, Catherine says, just before you go. Oh, Catherine Playfair wants to know, how do I make a donation to your charity?
Oh, fabulous. How do you make a donation? That's a good question.
Will I get her to message you? Will I get her to message you?
Yes, get her to message me, please. We'll have a PayPal up and going, but I'm just see if that is finalised. But yes, just message me from the Breastmates page messenger. I'll get it, and we can work on it that way.
Catherine, what I will do is
all set up. Thank you so much. By the way,
what I'm going to do is, Catherine, I will put up, or I'll put it up, or whatever, all the socials. And you contact Shaza. The WhatsApp would be the best, wouldn't it, for that, would it? WhatsApp?
Probably, WhatsApp, because that's why I have the phone with me all the time.
And you WhatsApp Shaza, and you can arrange that with her. Catherine, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That is so amazing.
Yeah. Listen, folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Once again, Shaza, thank you very, very much. Catherine says it's not millions. It doesn't matter, Catherine. Every penny
penny makes such a difference. And you're helping women in Northern Ireland. You're actually helping local women. Do you know what I mean? Because I went to give our free charity boxes to a few places, and a lot of them are saying, "Oh, we give to the place in England." And I'm thinking, but this is for your women.
Can I just say something here before?
You know?
Yeah, can I just say something before we go? As you know, we do charity work as well, and what we have found is a lot of the big charities are all based on the mainland, and if you give to them, nobody in Northern Ireland gets it, Shaza. You know, it's true. And I have found this through my experience. I've been doing this nearly 2 years now, and I have found a lot of the charities, if you give to a mainland charity, the money does not reach here. It stays in the mainland, but it's not their fault. It's the way that it's set up.
True.
Okay,
every penny we get is pumped straight back into helping the women. Everything we get.
Yeah.
You know, we give it to the local women, the women to buy the wigs, the women to go on their outings, have their wee cups of coffee, whatever. So thank you so much, Catherine. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And once again, folks, we will see you next week. Stuart has experience of this with dementia funding, as we did. Yeah, I told you about that with Dementia UK and all that.
That was terrible. Yeah.
Okay, folks. So we will see you next week for our Tuesday night trivia. And
thank you, everybody. Let me know. Can I come to the trivia thing if I'm free? Can I come in? Or is it in the chatter?
It's in the Chatter House, or it's on Chatter House or YouTube. It's at 7:30 next Tuesday night. And our Lee's going to be here, so it's going to be interesting.
I'd love to say, I want to meet Lee.
Oh, don't worry, you will, because you will see him actually next month. That's all I'm saying.
I want to meet the other side of this duo.
This is the first that's ever happened, believe it or not. Okay, listen, folks, good night. Take care. Look after yourselves. And I'll see you all very